personally think that caring too much, I suppose, about the people behind the work is kind of pointless, because outside of brand recognition, this tells me very little information about the work of art in question. Like, what exactly does Directed by Quentin Tarantino tells you about the work? That's going to be either a thriller or a comedy. What does starring Jared Leto tells you about the film? That they've hired a leader of a sex cult. And to return to the topic in question, Platinum End is a 24-episode anime based off the manga made by Tsugumi Oba. Does that say anything to you about what sort of story are you going to see here? Those who know who he is, be silent. The story follows a young orphan named Mirai Kakehashi, who, like every orphan in fiction, lives a very crappy life of abuse and shit, and so he decides to end it all, but instead of getting isekai'd into another world, he gets saved by an angel who tells him that God got sick of all this shit and needs a replacement. Thus, angels flew to Japan as people that are miserable and kill themselves all the time, found the most miserable people around and gave them superpowers, telling that they'll have to elect God in the next 2 years or so. So yes, this is a deathmatch anime similar to Future Diaries, and what really annoys me about it is that because it has been written by Tsugumi Oba, people will probably go, OMG, this is from creator of Death Note. This is going to be the next Death Note. Bitch, he also wrote Bakuman, yet none of you fuckers think that God Candidate is going to sit and draw hentai about naked angels now, aren't you? So yes, as per requirements, there are about 12 of God candidates, and one of them decides that killing everyone is the easiest way to become God. Not really sure how this whole election business was supposed to go otherwise, but fair enough. And thus our main hero meets this big evil person and begins a battle of smarts and ideologies, with our hero's goal is for everyone to live happy, while the main villain's main goal is whatever the fuck he was dribbling on about there, plus wanting to fuck his dead sister. The next part is going to be spoilers, so I give you 5 seconds to evacuate in case you don't want to hear them. 5, 4, fuck you, we're going in. So in my not so humble opinion, a story in this genre needs to do several things. 1, the power needs to have some very strict and simple rules. 2, the main character needs to have a very strong personality. Doesn't need to be good, just needs to be someone you'd like to watch. 3, his antagonists need to be, if not as interesting, then at least to be their ideological counterpart. The show fails in all 3 aspects, but the problem with this is that this failure is quite subtle. On paper, the powers are very well defined. Red arrow makes the person fall in love with you, white arrow kills them dead. Simple enough. But then as the show progresses, you start seeing that, well, red arrows can't let you just order people around. They won't do something they don't want to do. Okay? Then the arrows have a range, but this range can be extended by combining arrows, which is barely if ever used after explaining that. Then there are also rules regarding angels as they get promoted and demoted. Then there's also the ability to lend powers to other humans, and it all kinda starts getting really confusing. The main character and his villains are also not really that interesting. Mirai's grand master plan is that he just wants people to be happy and has a boner for a girl. Meanwhile, his first antagonist is some rich guy with a school shooter manifesto, while the second one is a militant atheist that wants to prove that God doesn't exist by becoming God and or killing himself. I won't say the show can't be tense, especially when they actually fight, but every time they start opening their mouths is when I just start to get bored, because it is not a dialogue between 2 conflicting worldviews. It is a dialogue between a child and a snob, and it's about as interesting to listen as those dumb political debates on YouTube. And as for the ending, it's, well, basically a 13-year-old boy that thinks suicide is cool and everyone should do it, becomes God, kills himself, and everything dies. The end. I'm not even really sure if there's anything much to comment about it, it's what it says on the tin. Though fair, there's also this little ending part about God being created by aliens that want to die because they can't die. Shock endings don't really work on me, because I'm the sort of thing that doesn't really get impressed much, especially when I wasn't really impressed with the show to begin with. In fact, the feeling of not being impressed is exactly what I think of the show in general. It was an anime. Out of all the anime I watched recently, Sonny Boy was perhaps more anime than this anime, but if after Sonny Boy I felt that I wasted precious hours of my life, Platinum End left me with a feeling, yep, expected as much. It is an ultimately vain anime that wants you to know that suicide is bad, and to do this it lists every reason why suicide is good and we should legalize it.